So my question is, as an artist, are you obligated to do protest art, or are you obligated to do art that speaks to the civic, climate, and political climate, or you are not?
I wrote about this one. I wrote a poem in, I don't know, 2013, 2014, when it was hip poetry. And in there, I say, but suffice to say, hip poetry si hobby. Hip poetry ni jukumu. Siku moja huyu poet atashare, but hip poetry itadumu. So for me, it's not a question of either or. I don't know, I can't speak for any other artist. I can only speak for myself, right? And so, for me, it's obligation. For me, it's a mandate that I speak for and against, for the things I would love to see and against the things I don't want to see, because I want to see, I want to see true joy, true happiness, like, I want to know that when I see people smile, it's because they are truly happy, right? When I see people move around, it's because they have the freedom to do that, like, right? Nobody's worried that you get picked up and, thrown into a Subaru or some, Mariamu somewhere, like, so it's for me, I would, we have to do it, but at the same time, I think there's a poet I love, he's an African American poet called Dudley Randall, and he wrote a poem which is called like a poet is not a joke box, right? So also in that way, I cannot impose my standing on other poets, right? Like other artists, like on what to write about, right? Probably somebody grew up without love, and the only way they can truly experience that is by singing about love. We need that, I can't make love to a protest, like, or or that kind of thing. So basically, we need everybody to play their part, right? But at the same time, we also don't want to be you don't want to be instruments of oppression, because I think that's when now it becomes tricky, because a lot of artists are not even aware the ways in which they're used to perpetuate the oppression, right? So for example, it's what happened last year. It's Anguka now becomes a protest anthem, right? And then that guy on top of the hill decides, you know what? I can do you guys the same thing, like, and then goes and uses the same guys in one of his events, right? So technically mocking you for that, right? And so for the young musicians, like, I understand people are hungry, people need some money, right? That was an opportunity for that. But so I don't know if they were aware of the way in which they were being used, right? Because essentially that's what was happening. They were used to counter, the movement that they were part of, the movement that actually popularized them, right? Because before that, probably that song would have just fell in between the cracks, right? But it just came out at a perfect time when people needed something to rally them on into the streets, right? So, and I think that's arguable now, like if they owe like the Gen Z's, an explanation, or they owe for that, for popularizing their songs. But I don't want to say that, I don't want to condemn them in any way, but at the same time, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, right? It's a conversation that needs to be had, like what is your obligation? Or maybe if not, it's a conversation you need to have with people. There's a conversation each artist needs to ask themselves. Like, you need to meeting with you, listen, unafanya nini, kwa nini, right? Because if you're just doing it for money, okay, you just go earn your money, but when the proverbial ish hits the fan, then pia wao situangalie, right? Don't ask, but the reason why we came out from Ngatia is because we didn't have any illusions about where Ngatia stands, right? it was very clear who Ngatia is. We've known Ngatia for so many years. I've known Ngatia since 2012, right? So, and he's been consistent at what he does. He was willing to stake, to risk everything to when Bonnie called and he answered, as much as he advised us not to answer. He knew what that could have easily been, another case of Alberto Juan, right? And then we're glad that it wasn't, right? But so essentially, I think there's a two-side way to this thing. And sometimes, and because the way protests have been happening before is that, so the professionals kind of, so your doctors are having the protest and people don't show up. Simply because when people are having the protest, doctors don't show up. But right now, because of how doctors stepped up even during our protest, like if doctors, have the protest, we have to show up, right? Because now, they're no longer in their pocket. We are finally getting together to be one, one people, right? So I think it's a choice that everybody has to make and know that it's a choice that has its repercussions.
Okay.
I've said this before in another forum that we're all very different and we're all very the same, But the thing is, simply because I've combed my hair doesn't mean I took a shower. To a lot of people, those are two different things that do not depend on each other, right? So simply because you are going through something also doesn't mean we are all going through it. So not all of us have lived in Ashanti, right? So we may not all relate to what the orphanage has gone through and what it feels, right? And when we were protesting, my friends were asking me, why is it that you go to protest, but you don't call us to go with you? And I told them, ladies and gentlemen, I don't come from where you come from, right? So I can't call you to protest. Miss you want to protest. Me, I have my own businesses where I want to be there. I know what I feel. I know what I've been through. And I know when I sit in my room what I go through and how I see my life and my future. So maybe personally when people betray us or betray the protest, like people say, when people talk of men like Caswell, etc. Personally, I don't feel the heart. Because I know I'm in this alone, I don't count on the judiciary, even though I'm a lawyer myself. I don't count on it to stand with me. I only count on myself to stand with me. I only count on the people I know they experience the same things I experience. The people I know, like she said, will have and love us. So please, if you're going to protest, if you're going to write that piece as a creative, please just know that it is about you and the kind of life you want. Not all of us have been through what you've been through. And if we do that, we will stop thinking with our emotions and be logical about this. That when I'm seated in this room, why am I in this situation? I'm in this situation because there's someone who has denied me the right to have clean sanitation, clean water, to have health. Right? So we need to think that way. Just like some comedians say, we make a lot of emotive decisions very fast. We don't sit down to think about it. And that's why I love creatives, because they sit down and write and think about it and put hard work on their works. So we need to do the same as lay people, as common humanity. Yeah.
Emotions are okay. First and foremost, I think we are where we are today because emotions. Finally, people started feeling the idea that emotions are not, it's not right to make decisions when you're emotive. As a human rights activist who has been in the field for so many years, the thing that was lacking was lack of emotions from people. We felt and people never felt. So emotions are okay. And I think Nerima Wako said something sometime back, and I like going back to it because normally whenever we would go on the streets prior to last year, as activists would always be branded as noisemakers. And I love that the first question you asked is, we never get satisfied. We always, immediately something happens, we want another thing and another thing. And then when Babo started speaking, saying, do you see anything to smile about? I'm speaking as a queer person, as a lesbian, as a person who has had to fight pretty much my whole life, right? To fight for myself and then to fight for this country. And I think in words of Neri Mawako, she said, until all of us are angry. And anger is an emotion. And I think for the first time last year, when we were organizing the femicide protest in January, that was for the first time that I saw us come close to anger. A lot of men were not angry yet, okay? Some were, those that I know, those that I like, those that I consider a few of my favorite men in this country were angry and they were there with us. But for the most part, most men were not. If you're on social media, if you're in any platform that you exist with people, you'll hear conversations and they will gaslight women about what are you talking about being killed, because they knew they were the killers. But you know, sooner than later, it was June, and now we all were on the same side and our killer was the same. And then I saw anger. And for the first time, as a person who is, if you know me, you know, you've seen me on the streets. As a person who protests because I know silence doesn't help me in any way, but also silence is very expensive. For the first time, I was happy to see people being angry as well. For the first time, I am learning to find peace in saying today I don't feel okay enough to go on the streets because I can trust people will go on the streets. Because we've had protests where we were like 10 people on the streets and would be gaslighted and would be insulted and would be made to feel like you don't know what you're doing, okay? But we still knew what we were fighting for. And for the first time, Kenyans are beginning to understand. Now, one thing we need to understand, also there is a thing we're talking about love. I don't mind a love song. I think we're doing this because we love our country, no? Because when we think about love, let's not just think romantic love. Okay, that is important. But I also understand a lot of us have been struggling a lot even with that because, hey, the country, the economy, the bills won't allow you to even be in love in peace, that kind of love anyway. But I think we can say, and the references have been many, a lot of songs that we listen that we convert to songs of fighting, to songs of struggle, are songs of love too. It's a song written out of love. It's a song of saying, Kenya is my country. To what end? There was an elaboration of Ngatia and Boniface Mwangi showing up with Mkokoteni, basically just saying this bill of yours is shit and it doesn't favor anyone in this country and we need to do something about it. But they were arrested and people had to go to court to make sure they were released. But that is not any different from what happened to Rose Njeri again this year. Just because of what? Using social media, that is a tool that has been provided for you, which of course she pays for, because it's not like you have access to social media for free. You have to pay somebody. You're boycotting Safaricom today. I'm sure she probably has Safaricom Wi-Fi in the house. And she was using things that she has paid for to create that. And we are trying to be made to feel like it's not okay to be that angry, to become resourceful. Because invention comes when people are angry enough about something. You want to check things, so you want to do something. So emotions are okay. And if you plan to be on the streets without emotions, then I don't think we'll go far, because we'll all be on the streets and then we'll all not do what we're supposed to do. Emotions are supposed to be there. When you see people trying to unmask police, when you see Hanifa trying to fight a goon who is trying to take her phone, that is an emotional affair. You can't look at it and think, oh, people are just having fun, and people are just, maybe to you it's fun, I don't know. But if you don't have enough adrenaline, if you think if you don't fight, things will still be okay. I love matcha, but if you think matcha is the only thing you need in life before you can be able to come and fight, because that matcha is as political as you being on the streets. So emotions are okay. So let's come to the streets and bring the emotions. Let's make all the, we've been led by leaders from I don't know when, right? They've been making mistakes, right? It's okay to make an emotive mistake if it was meant to fight for Kenya. It's not okay to just sit in the house and say, I'll wait until I'm not emotional. Ruto is hanging on our emotions. He's doing everything every day to make sure we're emotional. He's finding ways, he's killing our children, he's killing us, he's overtaxing us, he's coming up with a bill that makes sure he's borrowing. Everything that he's doing is geared towards making us as emotional as possible, as pissed as possible. And then because we become pissed, we'll go and try to find him and then he'll try to kill us. But what I do know for sure, I don't mind dying for this country, I just know he won't kill us all. And if I die,
May the spirits of those who died be the reason we continue to go.
Everybody see what I'm holding right here? Can everybody see what I'm holding? This is what I picked up during the last protests. This is what could have been found next to my body. This is what could have been hidden by the regime, so that there is no evidence of them being behind the gun that shot this bullet. When you are going out to the streets on Wednesday, I want you to remember what you are going out for. I want you to remember what could happen and tell yourself that whatever happens will happen, okay? And to quote my favorite rapper, everybody is going to respect the shooter, but the one in front of the gun is forever. Thank you very much.
Now that there is sort of an obligation to you as you choose it to be as an activist or a poet who does art on protest, does it weigh down on you? Do you ever feel like you're being overburdened by the society to do this? Do you get to a point where like, I'm done?
That's okay. Let me answer it this way. So I work for a journal down River Road, and for the longest time, for the last couple of 5 years, we keep thinking like, what do we publish and who do we publish? So I'm saying first of all as a publisher. So we spend hours and hours and hours talking about, my friend is a journalist, so this is journalist, we talk about that. I'm whatever I am, we talk about that. And it always comes back to the same conversation. Publish what you want to publish. Write what you want to write. Second, and I'm coming into this in so many different ways. Can I read something, please?
Yes, sure.
So this is something I wrote regarding a number of my the uses of diagnosis. My uncle sits in the corner, staring at the 9 p.m. news, a straight smile on his aging face, his beard turning white. I don't know his age or his real name. I don't know anything about him other than the biological truth of being born after my mother. For as long as we lived with him, he always sits at that corner, that straight smile, as if he were talking to some lost god in some lost kingdom. No one knows what's wrong with him. He's harmless. And in the tradition of my family, of robbers and police informants posing a wayward acrobats and alcoholics and fire eaters, what is the mind is material. We simply waste away like houses sinking into sand. I've met my uncle a few times in the past. Much like myself, he walks and walks, fasts, the poet and the madman. Doesn't mean our theme will have something to do with this going, distance, travel, a sense of living, having left. Where does he go? Once or twice he spotted an Australian during the Rakati, Jamhuri Day, having walked at least 3 hours to and fro without food or water. In torn clothes, torn slippers, the widow of his grey hair as guide. Once, looking for Mohammed's, I chanced upon him in a hotel. He's giving an analysis of the 2007 Kenyan elections, what went wrong, what could have been done right, what to do for the internally displaced. This is the first time I've seen him sitting more than 5 words together. Too animated, conducting a phrase it's a wrong number, he barely sees me. I live without the Mohammed's. Let him have his moment. Let him be safe from what we call family. Weeks later, we are watching the news when asking about this new government. He just sits there, mute, a blue-footed booby, endangered. That smile on his face, a white beard. He's some lost god in some lost kingdom. The god of wine, the god of memory, the god go to when you need a prescription for forgetting.
Have we hurt him so much that we trust the company of strangers? How is it that he can predict who will win the blue and red states? Can tell you which right-wingers will win in Eastern Europe, predict the gamble the area will make with the Red Sea? Can name all the capital cities in Africa, failed state or not, who likely to secede? Where did he land the lyrics to the Cohens, who by fire, who by arbitrate? This old man who won't shower unless asked to, won't talk unless spoken to, answering in one syllables, his forgiving smile, a stay of execution, a quiet river, still waters. Yeah. What was the question? I don't think I would use obligation. I don't think I would use responsibility or duty. I would use probably love. And I don't feel any kind of void, although there is so much weight, I'm guessing there. Yeah, that's my short-ish answer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your poem, and I was just curious. I really like the kind of image of an uncle or an elder, and I was curious to what extent, if at all, do elders, maybe revolutionary elders, have any impact on your art or your activism?
I've been thinking about my place in Nairobi to begin with, in Kenya, my role in my family, in my responsibilities as a writer, as a publisher, as an editor. Recently, I've started carving more into, I want to say black radical thought. So, Claudia Rankin, Morton, Nathaniel McKay, Baldwin, who else? Sonia Sanchez, June Jordan. So yeah, so that the black writers who I'm trying to engage with, theory escapes me. So I struggle a bit with the theory, but I love the work itself and how it makes me feel, the kind of emotive places it has been taking me, and I don't know if that really answers your question. Does it? Yeah, cool.
On the last questions you asked on whether it's okay for artists to release quote-unquote love song during such times. And in my opinion, I think art imitates life, and while they imitate all the other aspects of life, they should as well imitate life at the current situation. When things are not okay, I think it is their duty or responsibility to call out things that are going on in society. And also, there is a perspective that you can look at, that there are artists who would release such music, but are also present with the struggle. They are aware of the situation and they're playing a part, while there are others who are, I would say, tone deaf. They turn a blind eye to everything that is happening and pretend that everything is okay. And it makes them seem like they're sitting on the fence. For some people, I think it would be, from what I've seen, there are artists or creatives who have been able to commercialize their work, and maybe it is the fear of losing this source of income that they have finally achieved through their work, that they do not want to engage with things that are quote-unquote troublesome and might make them lose their source of income. But I think it is their duty and the duty of the other creatives to call out everyone else to take a stand.
Thank you. Yeah, you can clap. Thank you. Come back to